Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of I See Bad Movies. Hello, Emma.
Hi, David.
Wonderful Emma, might I add.
What do you want?
It's just that I realised I just called you Emma without actually putting some sort of nice wording in front of it, which for some reason I've decided to stop
That's become
doing.
a habit now, yeah.
It has become a habit. If I don't make a habit of it, then I'm never going to do it. So
True.
There's that.
Okay,
to go with
it's a
it.
habit I can get used to.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Waiting for when you say nice words about me, but obviously not.
Don't hold your breath.
Anyway, so this is episode 6.
Already?
I know. Already. Hasn't time flown by?
Yes.
And also, it is a watershed moment for us because it's the last episode of, not the whole podcast.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not, yeah. Oh, God, we might fall out over this movie, you never know. But it's the last episode of our 6 sort of ghost movie run.
Yes, it is. So it better be a good one.
Yeah, I hope so.
Go out on a high.
Yeah, I think so, because this one's a bit of an older one, and it's a bit of a B-movie, not almost classic, but it's quite well known in some B-movie circles, of course. But so I suppose I better ask you, Emma, have you ever seen a movie called The Carpenter?
No, I haven't. But I did tell you in the week that there was a news story in the local paper a couple of years ago about a carpenter, a naked carpenter, who was doing a lot of work on his house and in his garden, completely naked. Oh. I think they took pictures of him with just a tool belt on for the paper. But parents were complaining because they were walking past his garden and he was in the garden naked doing some carpentry. So yeah, I think he probably got into a bit of trouble. But when you said the name of this film, that just made me think of that.
Went straight to that.
Naked carpenter.
You have to think of like the health and safety issues of,
yeah, that's what I thought.
Like you're banging away with a hammer.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty careful.
You've got to be real careful. Oh my God. Okay, the cringing internally thinking about it now. Oh, why did you have to bring it up?
Well, because that's what was in my sick mind, so I have to share.
Yeah, okay.
you have to experience it too.
That's fine. I'll accept that. But thankfully, the movie isn't a documentary about this man.
Good. That's a relief.
Although I do think we should make a movie about this man. What made him choose to be the naked carpenter?
I have no idea.
It's what's missing in your life apart from clothing.
Yeah, a lot of clothing's missing. I don't know. I really worry about some people.
Yeah.
Oh. Especially if you're doing it in the garden, knowing full well that you're on the route to a school and people are walking past with their children.
Yeah.
Brings another level to...
That's pretty bad. And you know how I honestly think social media listens to us. Right?
Do you?
Yeah, I do. It listens to us. Because I was just scrolling through Twitter,
Yes.
I'm not a big Twitter user at all. And a video came up after I'd sent you messaging, this is the movie we're going to watch this week, this recording. And a video came up of, what's her name? Kunk from the Charlie Brooker Screenwipe stuff.
Yes, I know who you mean.
You know?
I can't think of the first name.
And she was like, Jesus Christ grew up to be a carpenter. Which is ironic because he was named after the 2 words you're most likely to say when you hit your thumb with a hammer. And so that clip came up literally like the day after I sent you that. It's our phones though, isn't it?
Yeah, the phones are listening to us because we can have a conversation sometimes and then I get adverts for things we've talked about.
Oh, I'm
which
sorry.
Are not things, which are not things I want adverts for.
I'm thinking back.
So keep it clean.
I'm thinking back to all the things we've talked about now. Oh God.
Yeah, we need to stop talking to each other, basically.
So this may be the last episode.
Or at least turn our phones off when we do.
That's a good idea. He says, opening his phone to talk about the synopsis of the movie that we're going to watch. Oh God. Please don't listen to me, Siri. Anyway, so you've not seen the movie The Carpenter?
No.
So let me take you back to the year 1988.
Please do.
A mad woman and her cheating husband hire men to fix up their new house. Mysterious carpenter, Ed, becomes her guardian angel, but he is actually an executed killer whose spirit has returned to finish the dream house he once started.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, it's Yeah, wow, look at that. So,
Wow.
a mad woman and a cheating husband. That'd be pretty mad.
I want to know why she's mad. Is she actually mad, or is she just mad because she found out her husband's cheating, or...
Are you hoping that they might actually show us that in the film, though? And
I'm hoping there'll be a storyline, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm always hopeful, even though there never is one.
Well, I mean, sometimes they try, but it's never cohesive.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't followed a single film we've ever watched, I don't think.
No, I don't think we have.
No.
No, which is a problem when we then have to talk about it and review it.
It could be, yeah.
But then also,
Possibly.
it allows you, dear listener, to go away, watch it, and pick holes in the crap that we talk about these films.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to watch the films after we've talked about them, what's wrong with you?
That's very true. Yeah, what is wrong with you? Sorry, I really have to stop picking on the listeners, don't I?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
If we want to keep them.
Maybe next episode.
I say them, maybe it might just be one person.
You. Yeah,
might just be our mums.
We're talking to you.
Our mums and dads.
Right, do I flip the coin first, or do we pick the cards first?
Oh, we're so old, we've forgotten.
I know, it's been...
I think we normally do the coin first, don't we?
Yeah, okay.
I said that with such confidence.
Yeah. Well, this week, this is the order we're doing
This
it.
week,
Okay.
it's our podcast, we make our own rules, we do what we want.
Oh my God, yes. We're not going to flip the coin.
No.
No, we're going to flip the coin. We're just going to talk about whatever we want, which we have been.
Yes.
Oh dear. Yeah, actually, we've not seen each other for a while, so I think we're getting a bit... Stop it. We just need to focus. That's it.
Do some work.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to flip the coin now, and we'll decide if we're going to focus on the good or the bad. What do you think it is?
I don't know, but that made a great noise.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. I was really impressed with that. I was really worried.
Everyone's going to think that's a sound effect, but that's actually the noise of the coin. Hopefully the mic picked it up.
I know. I'm hoping it did, or I might just see a long gap in the audio, and I'll edit it out just by default. So any idea? Do you want to take a?
I'm always wrong, so I'm going to say good, but
you're wrong.
I'm wrong every time, aren't I?
And I've just lost the coin.
Oh,
no, I've got it. I found it.
Okay.
It was no. So we're going to be focusing on the bad.
Okay.
Mad, isn't it? Anyway, so whether this is out of order or not, now's the time to pick the categories that we're going to focus on. Okay. I'm trying to do this one-handed. I'm trying to splay some cards out one-handed, and I'm failing.
It's not going very well.
This looks awful.
That'll do.
But please, Emma,
No one
choose
can see,
away.
it's fine.
And what's the first one?
I want that one. Go and get it. We've got supporting cast.
Supporting cast, okay. Oh, what else we got?
Actress.
All right.
Special effects.
Okay.
Line.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
And props.
And props. Well, props to you. Why do I say these things?
Don't know.
All right.
I really don't know.
Props, line, supporting cast, actress, and SFX. And as it is our podcast and we make up our own rules, if
we might ignore all of them.
We might ignore all of them and just say...
just talk about when we were kids like we do sometimes.
Yeah, that's it.
The good old days.
The good old days. Right. Shall we watch the movie now? That is what we do next, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're going to eat cake and drink tea as well, aren't we?
We've got cake and tea.
Yeah, we've got Black Forest Gâteau cake, which is my favourite. So we're going to eat that
while
we watch the film rather than while we talk, because that'd be better, won't it?
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, bye everyone. See you in a minute. Hello, and welcome back, everyone. We've just watched The Carpenter.
And I don't know what year it is.
No. Oh.
It was the longest movie ever.
Is Joe Biden still president? Is
Liz please, Liz Truss isn't still in, is she? Please.
It was only an hour and 26 minutes
really?
long, Emma.
It felt like a lifetime.
Oh, God. You could have built a house in the entirety of
I
that
could have
film,
learnt carpentry in the time that film took. It was slow, to say the least, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Really slow. And far too few moments in it that gave us anything interesting.
Any content. It was up there with one of the worst ones of this season, I think.
Ooh,
I think in terms of action.
Interesting.
There wasn't a lot going on a lot of the time.
No, there wasn't. Like, Bally Rectory.
Yeah.
That was pretty much...
That was really slow as well.
On. At least in this one, we had some deaths.
At least we didn't have Helen.
And we didn't have Helen, yeah. But we did have Alice.
Oh, Alice,
who was a bit weird. And dear listener, you might be thinking, Alice? Who is Alice? Alice is our main character, okay? Should we do a bit of a synopsis?
Yeah,
okay.
I think we should.
Right.
If you can stay awake.
Although to be fair, I am sleep deprived as well at the moment. I'm rather sleep deprived. Anyway, right, so we open up with Alice, our protagonist, protagonist Alice. She is laying out her husband's suit on the bed and then proceeds to cut it up.
Yes.
And then we cut to her being in a mental institute.
Because that's what happens if you cut up a suit, doesn't it?
That's it.
Straight to the mental institute with you.
The mental institute. Cut up a suit, mental institute. There you go. It rhymes and everything. Maybe that is the punishment in Canada.
Yeah, and that's the advert for it you've just come up with.
Yeah, I should go into advertising.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Give it a go. Maybe don't leave your actual job. Carry on the transponding for now.
You want me to moonlight as a marketing executive?
Just see how it goes. I'm just saying. We've got 4 kids to feed.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe don't count on it to pay the big bucks there. So she ends up in this institute, and we have a montage.
Yes, we do like a montage.
I love a little montage.
And we also need to do a bonus episode just about the montages in this season, I think.
Oh, yeah. Everyone has had a montage, haven't they?
Yeah, we've been quite spoiled.
Apart from one,
one. I think there might have been one that didn't.
But we won't talk about that because it doesn't have a montage.
I can get in the
bin. Put it right in the bin. Right in the bin. But it's a very strange montage because we get like strange things going on with the neighbour in the bed next to her.
Yes.
We get strange things happening. She has a weird dream about her doctor swinging a chainsaw at her. Yeah, odd things are going on in this montage.
Yeah, but it's a montage. We're not going to grumble.
No, that's true. Yeah, it redeems itself for the fact it is a montage. Yeah. But then, by the end of the montage, Alice is cured. And we know this because
literally everybody in there tells her she's cured and she can go home. Yeah. It's literally one after the other, isn't it?
Yeah. You're cured, Alice.
Her husband, the doctor, the nurse, the person next to her.
Yeah.
But is that preceded by the sister, who we now know is the sister, shouting at her in the garden?
That's right.
This woman is... Yeah. What does she say? This woman's nuts or something.
This lady is crazy. She's crazy. And it turns out to be her sister.
Yeah, which we didn't know at the time. But
that was part of the montage.
I assumed it was somebody who worked there, but it was her actual
that's
sister.
What I thought. Or she'd accosted some poor visitor to
Yeah,
it's very odd. And it turns out to be her sister. But then, how would you react if your sister was in a mental
exactly
institute?
The same way, yeah.
Yeah, I know. We don't call them institutes anymore, do we?
No, I don't think we do.
No. There's a terribly un-PC name for it there. But I think that's how it was described in the film, so that's why it stuck in my head. So I'm quoting everyone. I'm doing air quotes. Okay. And she is free to go home, but she doesn't go to her old home, does she?
No, she goes to the shiny new home. Well, it's not shiny and new. It's
shiny
run down,
new,
isn't it?
It's run down. Looks like a bit of a money pit, to be honest.
Yeah, it is like the film Money Pit with Tom Hanks, isn't it? And it's one of those scenes in these American... Oh, it's Canadian, isn't it? But you know what I mean. Yeah, it's one of these scenes from a movie where they're pulling off big dust sheets off of like the mantelpiece, and then there's a chandelier that she kind of pointlessly thinks, I'll just move this chandelier, and then realises it's a chandelier and it's quite heavy. So she literally sort of like hobbles with it a couple of steps to the right and then just puts it down pretty close to where it was.
It's a really weird sort of crab walk she does when she picks it up.
It's like you. I think you said when we were watching it, oh, she didn't realise how heavy that was, did she? She's just like, oh, I'll just move this. Oh no, I'll just put it here. It'll be fine there. So yeah, this place is pretty run down. Yeah. Needs a lot of carpentry. Needs a lot of work. So they've got
as we're kind of being shown around like the workforce, do you think that the workforce that we have here are going to be capable enough to get this done in time?
The workforce that we see is about 4 or 5 guys, and they're always outside. They're never working in the house, and they're never doing any work, are they?
No, they're not. And they're not doing any work because they're too busy looking in the 80s fabulousness.
The hair is 80s hair at its finest.
It's amazing.
The main guy, one of the main builders, is... Would we describe it as a mullet? He's got the big 80s, big tall bit at the front. Then it's a bit shorter around the sides, and then he's got a long bit at the back.
See, I've been
it's not your classic mullet where it's short on top, is it?
Yeah, see, it's not the classic mullet, but is it not just like an 80s like hair rock mullet? You know, like like someone like that. You know, like a Bon Jovi kind of.
It's fabulous, but it's kind of. I guess it would be classed as a mullet. Mm-hmm. But rather than sort of business at the front, party at the back, it's kind of party. Go for a bit of business, party, back to the party, carry on partying.
So it's party in front, party in back, business in the middle.
Yeah, kind of the reverse of an actual working day. So rather than work, lunch, work, it's like party, work, party.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't know. That's probably better actually. We should switch that around in the workplace. Lunch or brunch. Brunch. Couple of hours of work.
First breakfast,
maximum,
second breakfast,
and then dinner. Done.
Oh yeah. I might put that as like an actual like submission as an idea to my workplace.
Yeah. See how you get on.
If I remember, which I probably won't. I don't remember the film very much at the moment. Crikey. So
we were talking about hair.
Yeah. Hair.
So the hair on this guy reminded me of my dad in the 80s, who did have the big. He didn't have the mullet. He didn't have the long bit at the back, but he had the big tall, like quiffy bit at the front.
Really.
Like really big 80s hair, which.
He doesn't have that now, though, does he?
No, he now he has it quite short.
Right.
He sort of shaves his head. Not, he's got a bit of hair, but it's quite short. But I'm saying bring it back. Bring back 80s hair.
Bring back 80s hair. What, for your dad?
For my dad. How can we bring it back? Break the clippers.
Break the clippers, yeah.
Step 1.
Break the clippers, step 1. Step 2, like peer pressure.
Yeah, see, I would say convince him it's in fashion now, but my dad doesn't care about fashion.
Okay.
So that wouldn't convince him.
Get everyone just to tell him how good he looks with it. And yeah. Maybe
or
do that.
Get the listeners to what's the word I'm looking for? Campaign.
Campaign. Oh,
campaign. Start a campaign. We can have a hashtag.
Oh my God. Hashtag bring back 80s hair.
No, but we've got to make it more specific to my dad.
Oh yeah. Hashtag bring back Emma's dad's 80s hair. No. That's catchy.
We need a bit of alliteration. His name's Phil. What can we...
Feel my hair.
Feel my 80s hair.
run your fingers through my hair.
I don't know. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. There'll be a hashtag.
I tell you what, it's certainly no cut suit mental institute, is it?
No, it's not. But the ideas are there. We'll work on it.
It's starting up. There'll
be a hashtag, and then if nothing else, we'll just convince him do it for the podcast. The listeners want,
Phil.
And then if he does it, I will put up on social media a side-by-side photo of his 80s hair and his recent hair. If he grows it back. It might take me a few months to get this photo because it's going to have to grow. Or we get extensions.
Just go whole hog.
Get a hairdresser to quiff it up.
You can tell how interesting this film was, can't you? With the fact that we're now talking about your dad.
Trust me, this is a more interesting conversation than if we were actually talking about the film.
Shall we get back to the
film.
Carpenter now?
And also, my dad is actually a carpenter.
Of course.
This has got to be. He's got to go along with this one. He can't say no.
There's the universe is spoken.
Yes, God's way of telling him to grow back his 80s hair.
Oh, do you know what? Actually, I was trimming my beard the other day, and as a lot of men do, we leave the moustache till last.
Yeah.
And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, do I have the balls to just leave this bigger, thicker moustache and leave all the little trimmed off beard bit a little bit later. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I found myself just by like, no, I'm doing it. I'm shaving. I'm
wimp.
Yeah, I know. I wimped out, but like,
you can do it for November though, can't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll
do that.
I'll do it for November.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have had like a Tom Selleck, big
you should
old
do.
80s moustache there. Oh, still kind of panicking 30 odd days of.
You should do, just if nothing else, just to amuse me.
We're not recording in any of November.
We are.
We probably
I'm
will.
busy in December, so we're going to have to do November.
Yeah, I know. I have no time in December. We have to record November. Right. So what happens? What happens in this film? Nothing happens.
Both of us fell asleep, so we don't know. The first night, she meets the carpenter, doesn't she?
Yeah, she wakes up to a load of like sawing and hammering.
So she's been sent home with these tranquilizer pills that her husband's desperate for her to take, but she's like, I don't need the pills, it's really quiet here, I'm just going to sleep. But then she does wake up because the carpenter's making a noise.
Yeah. And because he's the only one that gets anything done as well. I mean, they have a little conversation, etc. We'll talk about the stuff that he says, because he's full of his own little wisdoms and quips. Yeah,
but a lot of the stuff he says is just a repeat of the line he just said before. But yeah, he does repeat himself a lot, doesn't he?
And he switches it around a little bit. It's very odd.
And very pointless. But there's a lot of pointless walking and talking in this film. She's either walking around or she's talking to the carpenter, and it's got no relevance to the storyline, and it's just filler. It feels like just a filler scene.
You could have cut this film down by about half an hour just by reducing the amount of times people walked around and stared.
More than that, I think.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easy, yeah. Just touched something the dog's been chewing on. Yeah, so that's the first night. She meets the carpenter. During the second day, we find out that the husband is a bit of a rat, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he calls up home and says that he's going to be home late. You know, if the husband's a lecturer.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously all these late night lectures that he does.
Yeah, of course.
Is going to make him stay late at the lecture office, and hearing this is one of the contractors or builders, and he's like, oh hey, well you're going to be alone tonight, why don't we hang out and we'll have some fun, etc, etc. And Alice is not having any of this.
No,
and
she's not interested.
She's just like, gone, done, see you later. But then we also see that the builders are complaining that work is getting done, and they think that the foreman is like getting students in to do the work on the cheap.
Yeah.
Instead of letting them do it, which they're not doing the work anyway.
But no one's questioning this carpenter coming in the middle of the night doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they're on site all day doing nothing, but no one's questioning. Not Alice, not the other workers, questioning a tradesman coming in the middle of the night and working. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
No. Why is no one saying? I tell you what, Mr. Carpenter.
Most people work in the day.
To the carpenters.
Yeah.
Could you?
Well, we don't know
please, that. Maybe not. No, we don't know it. We can't. I can't confirm that.
No.
It was a reckless statement.
That was.
It was a reckless statement. Can you stop sawing and banging all night, please? We're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. So they're complaining about the fact the builders are complaining about the fact that the foreman might have these students in, kind of undercutting them to do work. Fine, whatever. But maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I'm not in construction, and neither are they stopped by the end of the movie. We have. What do we do? We cut to them. Oh yeah, we see the husband is doing a lecture, and there's a pretty blonde in there that hangs around after the lecture. We then cut to do we have the weird sex scene with them first?
That's
the lecturer.
That's quite early on, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
The lecturer and the blonde.
We'll talk about that because that was not how you have sex.
No, it's just not.
It's not practical at all.
Not in the slightest. Nope.
So we'll talk about that. But yeah, this young girl's obviously trying to get her grades up because the husband's not, I don't want to be mean, but he's not an attractive guy, is he? He's not someone who'd be, the way they sort of, his character is kind of this, sleeps around with everyone but his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get the impression he'd be the lecturer that everyone fancied.
Because we even find out later that he had a little thing with her sister. Or or the option was there to have a thing with his
something
sister,
went on in the
sister.
past because he said something about you had your chance or something.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So, yeah, he gets around, round.
He does.
Literally,
so in the bed.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. It's
round.
Oh, I felt dizzy watching them. Yeah. God. And not in a good way. It was like, whoa, please stop. I'm feeling nauseous, dizzy, you know. So then we cut to the workers in the pub.
Yes.
And hair guy, because I can't remember his name, but forever he will be...
Mullet man.
We'll call him Phil. Let's call him Phil.
Call him Phil.
Okay. No, we won't, because he's a horrible person and gets...
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
We won't call him Phil. He decides that he's going to leave his friends and he's going to go back and see Alice because he knows she's on her own.
Yes.
And he knocks on the door, kind of invites himself in and tries it on with her, and she's not having it. And
it's quite forceful with her, actually, isn't he? He's not. Yeah.
This is not like try it on. He is trying to force himself on her, I should say, of course. And then all of a sudden he starts to hear like the sounds of woodwork in another room.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that must be those scab students doing some work.
Yeah.
And he's going to go have a word with them. But it's kind of the last thing he does, isn't it?
It's definitely the last thing he does.
Yeah, not kind of. Yeah.
But we will talk about that scene as well.
We will talk about it, because he does meet his end here.
He does.
But how he meets his end
in a fabulous way.
A very fabulous, fabulous. Very fabulous.
And very unexpected, I think.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting the way it happened.
Yeah, how it happened. You could tell that, this guy's going to get killed.
Yeah.
But the manner in which it happened was just like, oh.
Of all the ways you could go,
yeah,
that's not one you'd think of, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting use of a particular power tool, which we'll talk about, and we will get to this one.
He's only got 3 tools, hasn't he, the carpenter? He's got his circular saw, his nail gun,
and his drill. But there is a bit where he uses a hammer, and there's a bit where he uses a plane as well.
Oh, yeah.
Not an aeroplane.
No.
It's a plane.
Yes.
That's the extent of my woodworking knowledge.
Very good. Impressive.
Thank you. Tell your dad.
But
David seems to know a lot about woodworking.
He knows there's a thing called a plane.
So it cuts to the next day, and there's kind of like a bit weird thing where the husband gets home, he's walking around the house in the dark, but it doesn't really matter that he's walking around the house in the dark.
Sorry, but that's one thing I did say, was when you get home late at night, the first thing I do after I've opened the door is turn the light on, because it is pitch black otherwise. But he just sort of wanders around the house in the dark, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, and is it, why would you just walk around in the house in the dark? Just turn the light on. Yes, we know it's a ghost movie, but so what? You just wouldn't see me walk around in the dark. As simple as that.
But it's like any horror movie where someone knocks on the door, so you open the door, you go out into the dark night, leave your door open behind you, and they sneak in behind you. It's like, you just wouldn't do that, would you? No. You'd look through the peephole, you'd see there's no one there, or if there's someone there, don't open the door.
But then the movie doesn't happen.
Yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it?
But everyone stays alive and happy.
Yeah, I know. But we don't want them to stay alive and happy.
No,
we want them to die. It's a horror movie. Please kill them,
Carl.
That kills people.
It kills people.
Oh, llamas with hats. The other thing.
That's old, isn't it?
Oh my god, that's like the beginning of the internet. Llamas with not quite the beginning, but that's
a few years in. But yeah.
Few years in.
It's probably the middle part of the mullet, I'd say, if we're talking in timelines of mullets.
This is the business part of the internet.
Yeah.
That's when we knew the internet meant business.
Yeah.
Pre-Vine. Oh God, we really don't want to talk about this film, do we?
We don't. We're just avoiding it at all costs.
We don't want to talk about it, but we have to.
Where did we get to? The husband's come home.
First guys, nothing really happens. Like, again, you just didn't have to have this scene.
No. It was so pointless.
The husband...
He didn't see anything, he didn't do anything, he just came in, wandered around in the dark. What's the point of that scene?
Wasted so much time.
It's just filler.
And then she got up and wandered around and saw that there was no blood on the floor or anything where
the
murder happened.
the body's been completely
But you didn't have to
cleared
have
up.
that. You just
He sits on the sofa and he looks down on the floor and he sees something red on the floor and he wipes it with his finger and kind of looks like, as if to say, is this blood? And then there's a bottle of wine on the coffee table. So he just assumes it's the wine.
Yeah, and doesn't
even though it's like a bright red, which red wine isn't bright red. And then just kind of assumes that, and then goes up to the wife and says, "You really shouldn't be drinking on your pain." Or is that in the morning? He says that.
Shouldn't be drinking
on your not painkillers, tranquilizers.
And I think that's where we find out
and
she's
she
not
says,
actually taking
"I'm not
them.
taking the tranquilizers."
Yeah. That's right. So then we have this awkward scene between the husband and the foreman, and the husband's having a right go at him because they're missing one guy now, and it's going to take longer to do.
Which no one really questions. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, was it the window guy?
Yeah.
He's not here. So no one questions it.
This is the only way we find out how we know what one of them is actually doing on site.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he says, our window guy's missing. So does he even have a name? He's just window hair guy. That's it.
Window mullet guy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting. Or not, as the case may have been.
None of it was interesting.
We really weren't interested. Then what happened? Oh yeah, we have then there's another scene where Alice talks to the carpenter at night, and we'll talk about this one specifically later when we talk about props.
Yeah.
Because she has this mad scene just listening to him talk for ages, and it's boring, but it's interesting because of what happens every time the camera cuts to him. We will talk about it later.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Then what happens after that? She gets a job.
Oh, she gets a job in the paint. I've totally forgotten about that. Yes, in the paint store.
God. She gets a job in a paint store, and it's the weirdest interview ever.
The boss at the paint store is such a weird character. I don't even know how to describe him.
It's because nothing like it exists in the real world. No human being exists like it in the real world. He's a paranoid. He's
kind of nervy and geeky and
geeky about paint specifically.
Yeah.
You know, paint is chemistry, don't you? You know, paint is chemistry because she doesn't have any qualifications in chemistry. She's got a liberal arts degree.
I'm pretty sure you don't need any qualifications in chemistry to work in a paint shop, though. I might be wrong.
I mean,
please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you do to mix paint need a whole lot of chemistry.
I'm pretty sure.
As long as you can use the machine that mixes the paint.
Yeah.
I think that's what you need.
Yeah, that's it.
Bit of customer service skills.
Yeah.
And that's it.
If that.
I mean, the boss hasn't got any customer service skills, but
none at all. The way he talks.
That's probably why he needs to hire someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets a job, and then when do we see the husband meet up with his little floozy again? And then she's got some news, hasn't she?
Oh yeah, because I think that's around about the same time.
So there's a scene where the husband is with the girlfriend and she's laying on the bed and she just comes out with, "I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
And that again was absolutely pointless to the story. There was no need for her to be pregnant.
No.
There was no point to it in the story. It didn't mean anything. It didn't matter.
The only thing it does is it means that later in the film she comes to the house, the girlfriend.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that does.
But she could have come to the house anyway, just because she was having an affair with him. She didn't need to be pregnant, did she?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the relevance of that was.
Nothing, none at all. All that led to do was just add more runtime on the film, because what could have happened is she could have gone out to work, come back, and found the two of them in bed, and then her and anyway, I'm getting way ahead of us. Rather than what ends up happening is the girlfriend coming round, getting murdered, then the husband coming round, finding the girlfriend, and then him getting murdered. You could have all just done it in one scene.
Yeah.
I know that's spoilers and we've not got
some good murders though.
But they were yeah, these were pretty decent ones, these ones. But in the meantime as well, the husband has an argument with the foreman and decides and wants to get rid of
wasn't me, by the way.
Two of the workers that are really lazy. Two of Hair Guy's friends.
Yeah.
And then they decide to break into the house.
Oh yeah.
To steal some stuff and mess some stuff up.
Yeah, and
then they get murdered as well.
Yeah, because this carpenter literally just sees someone, and then that's it. I'm going to kill you, no matter what.
Yeah.
If you're in the house, apart from Alice, you're getting killed.
He does have a moral code though, because it does only do it to people who are doing things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Because later, when her sister comes around, she's like, she's shouting and swearing at him, and he's like, "You shouldn't. Words like that shouldn't be coming out of your mouth."
It's so refreshing to get a murderous ghost with a moral compass, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so refreshing because
I
quite
mean,
often doesn't happen.
It is a twisted moral compass, but at least he deals out swift justice to attempted rapists.
Yeah.
He deals out swift justice to
women that swear,
burglars, and he deals out swift justice to pregnant women. Oh wait, no.
Did they have a burglar alarm?
No.
Was it purple?
No, but they did not really kind of quietly kick in the windows because that was pretty loud.
Oh, they made a lot of noise when they broke in.
A lot of noise. I mean, I know I'm messing up the order here, but at some point, all of that happens in the movie. But ultimately, after the girlfriend and the husband are dead, her sister comes around, sees this, and is like trying to get Alice out of the house, and our carpenter tries to stop them, and then they quite ingeniously start smashing up the house, and it's hurting him.
Oh yes.
And then they set fire to the house,
how...
and it sets fire to him.
Yeah, and then you have this weird scene of him.
And that's literally
walking up the stairs from the. Is he in the basement?
Yeah, there.
Walking up the stairs like on fire. It's great special effects.
Oh yeah, wonderful special effects. Oh, I didn't actually write that down for special effects.
No, I didn't actually. I think we were so bored by this point and so like relieved it was nearly over.
That was pretty much the case, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he dies, and they just walk away, and there's no resolution. There's no information about what happens next, even though there were many people murdered.
Well, literally, it's just Alice left, isn't it? It's...
Alice and her sister. That's it.
Oh, and her sister. Sorry, yeah.
That is it. So, I mean, not a great film.
So long and so boring, and so many unnecessary scenes.
Yeah, it was.
But
indeed.
there were some entertaining deaths in there. I'll give it that.
Yes, some entertaining deaths. Now, because of that, there were some really entertaining deaths. We had 5 topics. We had supporting cast, props, actress, special effects, and line from the movie.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously we're looking at the bad on that one.
Yeah.
Now there was only one actress, and that was
there was her sister, but she was only a small part.
Yeah, she was supporting cast or and so on. So
yeah.
So but well, and obviously the girlfriend as well. But
yes.
they didn't have much parts to it. She was the only main actress playing Alice, and what I think we're going to do is we're going to swap out actress for death.
Yeah.
But before we do swap it out, I just wanted to point out, if anyone watches this movie, The Carpenter, watch Alice and then tell me which modern day actress. No, I'm just gonna tell you. But a modern day actress, I think, has based her whole acting technique on Alice, and it's Kristen Stewart.
I don't know
Twilight.
if it's Kirsten or Kristen. I think it's Kirsten, isn't it?
Is it Kristen Stewart?
I think
Kristen
so.
Stewart?
But yeah, I know who you mean.
But the lady from many movies, but Twilight being probably the most common one that we would know her for. But she's obviously been in a lot more. But 100%, if you watch Alice and then compare it to some of the stuff that Kristen does, especially when she's working in the paint shop and talking to her sister, some of the mannerisms are exactly like Kristen Stewart. But anyway, there you go. Fun fact. Is it a fact? I don't think it's a fact.
I think it's your opinion.
Was it fun?
No.
I don't think it was fun.
It was neither fun or a fact. It was David's opinion.
My opinions are fact.
And we all know that David is not fun.
Ouch. Et tu, Brute. Et tu. So let's have a little talk. So shall we talk about lines first or special effects?
Let's talk about lines, shall we?
Okay. Right, so obviously we're focused on the bad lines. Do you have a particular bad line that you'd like to cover over?
It's not one line, it's several lines.
Oh, go on.
So it's the carpenter. So we sort of touched on this earlier. He has a lot of lines where he says something but doesn't say anything. So he says things like, so he's talking but no sense is coming out. So he says things like, the job will get done when the job gets done. What does that mean? And then he'll change, like you said earlier, he'll then change it slightly and say it again but in a slightly different way. So he'll say, the job will be finished when it gets done, or something like that, and he'll just change it slightly. And he keeps saying things like that all throughout the film.
I wrote one of those down, and it was, if the job ain't done, it ain't done.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, obviously.
I think that line literally came directly after him saying, the job will be done when the job is done. So, yeah.
Yeah, just nonsense. Absolute nonsense all the way through.
It was indeed. I'm just checking that your mic's still connected.
Yeah, because
you are still connected, even though the dog did
the dog just rolled over on the lead, and I was worried that he was going to...
The dog rolled over on the lead there.
He kind of rolled off my lap, and then...
on the lead. Dog rolled on the lead. How funny. Anyway, it reminded me, he rolled as much as the husband and the girlfriend did when they were having sex.
Although he's rolled onto his back, so now I've got a full view of everything, which is not nice, because he's a male dog as well.
Oh, bless. Yeah, he did. He said a lot without saying anything, didn't he?
Yes, all the way through. It was just pointless lines all the way through. And then he wouldn't just say it once. He would say it again, but slightly change a word. And then it was like, you've just said that, but it means nothing still.
He could get a job writing slightly menacing Hallmark cards.
It'll be your birthday when it's your birthday.
Do you imagine the amount of people that don't have live, laugh, love on the wall they've got? If it ain't done, it ain't done. Did you have any other bad lines?
No, there was a mixture of... I didn't write any of the others down, but there was a few that he came out with that were just the same, similar vein to that, just kind of... What are you actually saying? Just stating the obvious.
Yeah. I had a couple of close seconds there, I think. Okay. And so kind of honourable mentions for bad lines, but certainly I think the Carpenter does take it with some of those absolute pointless platitudes. So Hair Guy, when he comes to see Alice and he's like trying it on with her, he at one point says to her, "Do you read? I don't read much, but I do like you."
Yeah, again, makes no sense whatsoever.
It's like, that's not the best line in the world, mate.
No, it's...
Do you read? Crazy girl.
Crazy. You crazy girl.
It was... I was just like, it doesn't make any sense.
None of it made any sense. I don't think any of the lines made a lot of sense, did they?
Then we had her boss as well, in the paint shop.
Yes.
When Alice introduces her boss to her sister.
Yes.
And he says the strangest line I think I've ever heard in a movie. He says, "Sisters are nice to have someone to talk to."
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he?
But he says it in like a weird way that he's got a weird kind of
Yeah, it was
delivery.
just odd. Sisters are nice. It was just a weird thing to say.
It is very strange.
But he was a very odd character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'd been written like that to deliberately be an awkward character, or whether the guy just played it like that. I don't know, but it was bizarre.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was directing a movie and someone came and said, "I know how to do this character. You don't need to direct me. You've got other things to think about," I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll just let you get on with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever happens on a film set.
No.
It's a decision.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, on these movies that we watch, is it? Or is it just kind of...
Well, yeah, okay, maybe...
We're all here now, we've got to get this done in an afternoon, just whatever happens.
Yeah, maybe it's the director's best friend, and they're pranking them, and they're like...
Yeah.
They made a bet with them. If you win this bet, you could be in my next movie and do whatever you want with the part you've got. And that's what it was. That's actually
Possibly.
a good bet. I'd take that bet with someone. Right, so I think we can move on from lines there.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward on it. Special effects.
Oh, so worst special effects.
Yeah, worst special effects.
The worst one's got to be...
Go on.
So the first death, I think we're counting this as a special effect, aren't we?
Oh, 100%.
So we're talking 1988 here, so you're not going to have any CGI or anything like that. But so Mullet Man, Mullet man.
Mullet man. Party in front, business in middle, party in back. There you go.
So it's jingle. It's not very jingly, is it? So when he gets killed, his death scene was just so unexpected. So we talked about he's trying it on with, well, he's being quite forceful with Alice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously the Carpenter's there. He appears out of nowhere.
Yep.
And he's got his circular saw, which is his favourite tool, I think, because he uses it quite a lot.
He does.
He comes out with his circular saw and just out of nowhere just chops one arm off.
Yeah.
And then chops the other arm off. But because there's no special effects, you can clearly see that the actor has got both his arms crossed in the shirt that he's wearing. So he's like double the width that he was before. So he just looks like a box, like his body just looks like a square.
Yeah.
And so he just chops off both his arms, and then you can clearly see his arms underneath the shirt. And then he just kind of stands there, and the carpenter kind of holds his head so he doesn't fall. And I'm like, why hasn't he passed out yet? And he stands there for ages, and then he sort of slivers like down, hits his head on something on the way down, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And I assume he bled to death.
I would assume so, because although like there wasn't like any like major like special effects in any, if you really were like, oh, look at that amazing practical effect or whatever, but they chop an arm off, and then he does have like stumps like that are on his shoulders or whatever, that are just kind of like spurting blood occasionally, and it's really awful. It's like something out of like Bottom. Did you ever used to watch Bottom when they did fight scenes and stuff? And it was just like they just have like the squirting blood, or it was like a comical, like a comedy scene rather than a murder scene in a horror movie. I mean, I've never seen anyone have their arm cut off by a circular saw. And I'm pretty
it went through pretty quickly and easily, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was
it didn't take long to get through the bone.
Maybe this is why they don't work very hard, because they've got just like bones of jelly that circular saws can go through no problem, that quick and easy.
They've lost all the strength in their body because they just don't do anything all day. They just sunbathe.
Wobble around,
with great hair.
I mean,
they're like jelly babies with great hair.
Oh God! I think I have to agree. What happened there?
I think your voice just broke.
I have to agree with you,
David. You've hit puberty at
finally.
last.
God, 42 years old, and finally, God, that's the long time coming. I have to agree. I have to agree with you, Emma. Yes. That was the best special effects. The best of the worst special effects.
Yes, the best
worst. It was just shit. Yeah. It was just shit. It was utter shit.
But quite entertaining. It was good because it was unexpected. I didn't think if a ghost carpenter was coming towards me with a circular saw, I'd think there was other ways he would kill me quicker than chopping off my arms and letting me bleed to death.
Yeah, 100%. But then also, I don't think there'd have to be a ghost carpenter. If a carpenter came at me with a circular saw, I'd still think that. We can test it out. Get your dad to come at me with a circular saw and see what ways I think he could kill me before just taking my arm off.
We'll do that.
Yeah, but it was the Carpenters. Oh, I'm playing with the dog's pig. I wondered, what am I holding here? But it was part of his moral code, because he'd been like trying to force himself on Alice. Before he chops his arms off, he said, "You're going to learn to keep your hands to yourself," which is ironic because he removes his hands from him, so he can't keep them to himself.
No.
But the extra irony is the fact that the actor has to keep his arms to himself because he's got them tucked in his own shot.
Which, if I know we're saying this movie is really boring, and it is, don't get me wrong, but if there's a reason to watch it, it's for that scene, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just to see how blatantly obvious it is that he's just crossed his arms across his body, and they've just put his shirt on him, and expected us to believe that his arms had been chopped off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not even shot in a way that tries to hide it, is it?
No, he is double the width. Yeah. His body is like double the width it was just the scene before.
And because they want to show the blood squatting, that they just show you.
Yeah.
And it's, God,
it's awful.
It really is.
But in a good way.
Yeah. But also ultimately in
a
bad
awful way.
All right, so let's talk about props as well, because although like obviously we got props like the tools and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything that stood out other than the circular saw being used.
Circular saw was around a lot. The nail gun was around a bit.
The nail gun was around a bit.
So there were some good power tool props, which obviously we knew, being called the Carpenter. I think the worst props.
Oh, go on.
We were probably going to go with the garden scene.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where, again, it's nighttime. Alice wanders out into the garden, and the carpenter is outside in the pitch black. He's got a bit of a lamp.
Like a bit of lamplight, torchlight, whatever.
Torchlight, which I mean, I'll ask my dad, but I would say that if you're doing carpentry work, probably not. Nighttime in the pitch black is probably not the best time to do it.
Osha would have a field day with you. Occupational health or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Or not even just carpentry, any job. You don't sit in the garden in the pitch black with a little tiny torch doing any job, do you? So, he's just kind of out in the garden working on stuff. But during the pointless conversation they have, there's just, in front of him, there's like, I don't even know what the first prop was. There was something that he was painting with his finger. It looked like was it glue or paint?
I think maybe he might have been gluing a bit of wood together. So maybe he was applying some wood glue and then he was
wiping it. But would he wipe it with his finger?
I'm not going to lie. I've seen that. Yeah, normally you use use a bit of cloth or maybe use something to smooth it out or whatever. But to spread it out, he's maybe just used his finger or something and then he's going to glue it.
So he had like a small object on the table and he was gluing that, and then it shot to her and she was talking, and then it shot back at him, and he's got this whole great big door on the table and he's playing in it. Yeah. It's like, what?
Every time.
Where'd that massive door come from? Every time it cut to him, he had something different. So those props were kind of...
Something different. Oh.
And it was just like, quick, throw another wooden prop in there. What else can he be doing in this garden?
You could be drilling this.
Yeah, it was just bizarre, wasn't it? So they're probably the worst props just because it was... Yeah, like this massive door came from nowhere. It wasn't in the scene, and then it cut to him, and he's got his plane on this door.
Which begs the question: did they do that on purpose to kind of show that this conversation was going on over a long time, and he was getting lots of work done while this conversation was happening, or this scene was filmed over multiple days, and they couldn't remember what he was working on? In between the shots, so they just
could be continuity. You get some shockers when you see, like, I mean, even the best like movies and shows have some shockers when it comes to continuity. So it could have been that. I just think they were going, right, okay, he's a carpenter, just throw anything wooden in there that he can be working on. But it was like he only needs to be working on one thing because that conversation wasn't that long. So that was probably,
and you could tell the actor had never actually used a plane before. Because he was just
actually, I'm sorry, I hate to go back to my knowledge on this, but I have seen my dad playing down doors before, and it's not the way he was doing it. No,
it certainly wasn't. But then he's just an actor, he's not a carpenter.
Well, he should have done a bit of method acting. He should have,
Maybe he did some method acting and he joined the Carpenters.
He got it wrong. And then he had a really good voice. Yeah. But he was just shit at carpentry. See, if that was Christian Bale in that role, he would have learnt carpentry before he started the film. So
he might well have done. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
There's no commitment for some people, is there?
No, there isn't. Some people have got no compunction to be, dedicated actors and learn a completely different trade.
I know, for every job they take.
When are you going to be ready for filming? Oh, good 6 years. I need to become an
you want me to be a lawyer in this one? I need to pass the bar.
Excuse me, Mr. Bale, we're interested in you playing Michelangelo, the artist. When do you think your schedule will be free? 30 years. Why is that, Christian? because I need to learn how to sculpt out of marble.
Is that your impression of Christian Bale?
Yeah, that's my impersonation of Christian Bale. Well, he does he does that kind of thing with his mouth, where he's like, what? His lips stick out when he talks. Watch him. He does that kind of lippy thing. He's a lippy talker.
Okay.
But it doesn't sound anything like him.
Not like Gerard Butler has got the weird mouth.
Oh yeah, Gerard Butler's got a weird mouth. But I think he's got a weird mouth.
He's not lippy, he's just got a weird mouth.
Because he's Scottish and he's trying to be understandable to non-Scottish speakers, and specifically an American audience. And apologies to anyone from America listening, but you don't get the Scottish accent very well.
No.
And I mean, I say that. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But America's the country that had subtitles under Trainspotting.
Oh, really? Did it?
Yeah.
Wow, was it that?
And that was that was a very watered down Edinburgh sort of Leith accent, you know. It's shite being Scottish.
I mean, to be fair, considering the UK is so small, we have got such a range of accents.
Yeah.
Like you can be a couple of hours away and have a completely different accent.
Well, a couple of hours away and you've gone over several different accents to get
probably,
there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and then in America, which is obviously massive, there's not, I mean, you do get slightly different accents, but they're not drastically different, are they? Like, you think of a Scouser and then someone from Kent like me, completely, and I wouldn't understand. They've got their own words, they've got their own language. Like there's words that would be used up north that I wouldn't even know down here. And vice versa, I expect. But that's how different it is in one tiny little place. So I think Americans struggle with the fact that they're huge, and you know, probably if you went state to state you'd get different accents, but not massively. There's some states that I think just sound very similar.
But is that just our impression of it? Because you know how
maybe I don't know.
You always think everyone in America thinks everyone in Britain's either got a very posh accent or they're a bit like that.
Yeah.
You know? And then we think, everyone from Texas has got that southern drawl, and everyone from New York.
I mean, you do see it in movies, don't you?
New York accent.
Yeah, like in movies you do see, someone from Alabama and someone from New York will sound completely different. But yeah, I'm not sure how broad the range is of accents compared to the UK, where it's literally, like you said, you could be an hour away and have a totally different accent.
Yeah. And this is what gets me about this film, and I'm glad that we're talking about accents, because there's that sort of joke, I don't know, like in South Park, where they're talking about where one of the kids is Canadian or whatever.
Yes.
And it's what's that all about? And all that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was just a joke. I did not think that was an actual sort of...
But she does that in this film,
She does it in this film. She's like, get out my house.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
But at parts, she sounded either a bit Scottish or a bit Irish to me, in like certain words.
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, I don't know anyone Canadian, so
but I don't
maybe.
I don't know if that oot sound is from... Like, because there's a lot of Scottish people in Canada, there's a lot of Irish people in Canada, there's a lot of French people in Canada, there's a lot of European people out there. So I don't know if it's just like, if that sound has become... But I just didn't think that.
But
I
she
thought
did
that
do
was
that,
just a joke, that sound. And clearly it's not. It's just goes to show how little I know.
Yeah.
And I'll never admit that again.
So if there's any Canadians listening, could you enlighten us with, is that an actual... that kind of...
I think the aboot, what's that all about? You see in like when it's a Mickey take of the Canadian accent, that's an over
exaggeration. But she did do that in this film, didn't she?
Yeah, but it was kind of like, house, get out my house.
Yeah,
I can't do it, but yeah, it was an interesting. But finally we're talking about accents, because I heard that and I was like, it was like a revelation moment. I know. Because I'm very easily...
It's all true. South Park is based on a true story.
Okay. All right. Ooh. All right. So let's talk about the supporting cast. So who did you think was the worst out of the supporting cast of this film?
So we had, obviously, the builders.
Yeah, okay.
But I think the worst
go on.
was probably... the boss in the paint shop.
Oh, Martin, yeah.
Because he was just so weird and awkward. And I wasn't sure whether he was deliberately, whether they'd written the character that way, or whether that was just his acting style. I couldn't get whether he was doing it deliberately or whether that was just the way he acted. I don't know.
I know. It was weird because it was like at one point I thought, are they showing this actor or this character as being really strange because we're being introduced to him through the eyes of Alice, and she was a bit unhinged?
Strange. Yeah.
Is that why we're seeing it? But then he behaved like it to her sister, and I thought, no, they're just doing a very sort of strange character. Like a caricature of a strange person. That's how strange it was.
Yeah, and I know Alice was, she had obviously issues, but she didn't flinch at anything. She didn't flinch at the weird boss. She didn't flinch at finding a carpenter in her house in the middle of the night killing people.
That's right.
Like, he would murder somebody right in front of her, and she was just so blasé about it. She was just like, okay.
Yeah, when they kill Big Hair Guy, she's just standing there watching it happen. It's like, is this actually
there was
happening?
No reaction. I think she just went to bed, didn't she, after a couple of them?
Just walked past them and up the stairs.
Yeah, sleep well. Just seen someone being brutally murdered. And there was also no explanation of what happened to the bodies or the blood or anything. It just was cleaned up, wasn't it? Half the time.
That's
it. Weird.
Yeah, it was just cleaned up. I'm assuming the Carpenter did it, unless I missed them saying that he does it. But I'm assuming he cleans it up as well. I mean, he works hard for his money.
Does he get paid? Because they never hired him.
Well, no, they don't, I suppose.
Do ghosts need money?
I don't know.
Probably not, though.
Do ghosts need money?
If anyone knows any ghosts, can you ask them?
Please let us know.
Or if there's any ghosts listening.
Yeah. What would a ghost
give us a
currency
sign.
be called?
I don't know.
I don't know where I'm going with that thought. This film's just made my brain go. But you know what we've forgotten? What? I think we've forgotten the worst supporting cast member.
Hey.
Didn't mention them in the synopsis. At one point, a sheriff turns up.
Oh, I completely forgot about the sheriff.
I know, I forgot about him until I looked at my
he's 100%
notes.
the worst then, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just like, he turns up and basically his sheriff exposition.
How did we forget about the sheriff?
I know.
So he is pointless. He turns up, as you pointed out, he turns up just to explain to us that this Carpenter guy, so we haven't even said this, have we? The Carpenter guy is an old... like an offender. He's murdered.
Well, he was the owner of the house previously.
Yes, he owned the house.
And to do it up and up, he kept taking loan after loan after loan, which he defaulted on. And they would send repo men round to collect on the debt, and he would kill the repo men.
Yeah.
And sure enough, if one of the people working as a repo man for your business disappeared, you would just go, who was the last person they visited? Clearly, 7 repo companies did not do this because the sheriff said he killed 7 repo men before. And I don't know why the sheriff was trying to put on like a Southern American accent. You killed 7 repo men before you finally caught up with him.
Yeah.
But he's also stuffing his mouth full of food as he's talking.
Donuts, yeah.
And he's like,
I like the sweet ones.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just so annoying. He's not weird like the well, he is a bit weird, but not like the shop guy. He's just irritating.
He is leering and leching over Alice as he's doing it as well, watching her. She's probably wearing a nightie at that point.
She's always wearing a nightie.
I'm not excusing it. Just because you're wearing a nightie doesn't mean that a sheriff can walk into your house, give you loads of exposition, and then undress you with his eyes. No. But she was probably wearing a nightie, and he was just like, which is what the hell.
I'll tell you what he was, David. He was an arrogant prick.
Oh yeah, that sums it up nicely. Why use 2 words when I can use 50? But thank you, Emma, for pointing out my flaws.
Yeah, so he was... Anytime. He was the worst.
Yeah, 100%.
Shopman was the weirdest, but he was the worst, yeah. Sorry, I'd completely blanked him from my mind. I think I probably drifted off at some point in this film. So
do you know why you blanked him from your mind?
Why?
because of all the sweat patches all over him.
Oh, yes, he was mega sweaty, wasn't he?
Mega.
Nobody else was sweaty.
Nobody else was.
So it obviously wasn't a hot day.
This was a design choice.
Yeah, so
to
why?
make him look horrible.
Yeah,
of
probably
course.
to make him look, creepy and.
So if it's like, how do we make this already nasty sheriff, horrid person look more dreadful? Let's make him really sweaty.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make him stuff his mouth for the food and then talk with his mouth full.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, we get it. Like,
let's just make him as unattractive.
Yeah, paint his character with any heavier brush,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, definitely they're the worst. Deaths. We've not talked about deaths.
Yes.
The worst death.
The worst death.
Because we were, not talking about... Have we talked about deaths yet?
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't, have we?
Right, I'm going with... There were some good deaths, which we will talk about.
Yep. On the
flip side.
I nearly said it and I thought, no, I got to stop.
That's my job.
It's your job. I'll take it back.
But I think the worst death for me was... So, you talked about earlier where the two workmen come in, they break in late at night, really loudly. They break a window and get in.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mullet Man has already died. And then this is two other builders. And... They both die. The carpenter kills them both. But the first guy, he gets his circular saw and he just rams it into his face.
Yeah.
But then you literally, that's it. You don't see anything else. You don't see any blood or gore or any of, that is such a quick, his saw to his face and that's it. It cuts away. I think they probably didn't have the budget to do, prosthetics and, show a bloody face and...
Yeah.
But... It was the worst death because the other ones you saw a bit of the aftermath, didn't you? You saw with him chopping the guy's arms off, like you say, you saw the stumps and a bit of blood, and then you saw him pass out, and so you kind of saw the whole death. But with this one, it was literally what happened to him, but it was the quickest.
Yeah.
Okay, he gets a circular saw to the face, but then we don't see the face cut or
makes sense.
We don't see anything, do we? We just
makes
so
sense.
that was the worst one for me, just because it was. Yeah, it could have done with some special effects or some makeup or something, just to show us what he looked, what happened afterwards or what he looked like. Or
yeah, I think you're right, because if not that I nearly said, because if you want to see someone's face get caved in by a circular saw, you want to see it. No, you don't want to see it, but. It's like a ghost movie. It's people are getting murdered. It's the 80s. It's
I think it's just with all the other ones, you did see more of the death, didn't you? It was a longer scene.
More gore.
Yeah.
And so on. So why shy away on this one?
Yeah, because the guy after that who gets the drill.
Yeah, into his neck.
Into his neck. But before that, what does he do? He does something before that.
No,
the nail gun.
I think it was a stapler.
Oh, he puts a stapler in his head, and then he gets the drill in his neck, but then you still that carries on that scene, and you see him drill his body and stuff.
Yeah,
so all the other deaths were more drawn out, a bit longer, a bit. You saw sort of after they died as well. This was literally just a couple of minutes, and probably not even that.
Yeah, my worst death is slightly different. So we've seen the Carpenter use a nail gun before. The first time we meet him, he uses a nail gun to shoot a rat in front of Alice.
Yes,
and he goes on about how it really messes up their insides and whatever, or it really tears them apart. That's what he says.
Yeah.
But later, when the girlfriend comes round to kind of, rub it into Alice that she's pregnant and say, just give up. Just if you don't love him, give him up, etc. Fine, fucking take him,
Yeah.
But Alice picks up. So the girlfriend runs out the house, and Alice picks up the nail gun, and she's going to try and shoot her, but the carpenter comes over, takes her by the hand and kind of then uses the nail gun to shoot her. And I think it would have been far greater if it was Alice that shot her, because then if we didn't have the scene with the carpenter and Alice and her sister later, you could have assumed, is the carpenter in her head and it's actually Alice doing the killings? We're told obviously no, it's not. It's definitely the carpenter doing the killings. He is actually a definite ghost. He's definitely there. But the reason it was the worst death for me was because they shoot the girlfriend through the back 3 times with a nail gun, and as they shoot her, 3 times on the girlfriend, there is a small spark in the front of her, and then a powder burn and a hole in her shirt.
Yeah.
So obviously it's like a blood pack being shot and going off like you would a gun, but there's no blood coming out. Maybe are they saying that a nail wouldn't cause blood like a gun?
I would imagine it does.
I would imagine it still causes blood, but it's not like a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
It's I imagine it's not like a bullet going at a
Well,
massive
again, we'll
rate.
try it with my dad. We'll get my dad to shoot you with a nail gun. And we'll see what happens. Only in the arm or leg or something, not a fatal.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Just for research.
Oh, I was thinking you were going to shoot me through like the main core. God. All right, okay, no problem.
If he gets really good, he can try and get one of your ears without getting it in the head.
Oh, well, get one of my ears, like, pierce my ear for me. It's like, okay. If I'm not here for the next episode, everyone, you know what's happened, okay? Oh, God, there's me with just, like, nails sticking out my thigh, bleeding out.
It's all for research, kids.
But, yeah, that was the worst death for me because, like...
Yeah, it was pretty shit.
It was pretty shit. It's like, again... Like, why not? I mean, so what? Maybe a nail going through someone wouldn't cause as much, blood and gore as a gunshot. Fine, we get that. The bullet is a different thing to a nail. But, if you're going to be, blowing up a blood pack and causing that, just stick a little bit, stick some blood in there.
Yeah.
No one cares that a nail gun might not cause that much damage. Just do it.
It's a movie, yeah.
It's a movie. Like, about a ghost
Someone dyes his blood.
that kills people.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to suspend our disbelief. That's it for what we want to talk about of our categories. I don't have any other there's no other categories. We've gone through them all, haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure we have.
Are we going to talk about her dream?
Her dream?
When the husband gives her the tranquilizers.
Oh, yeah.
So for some reason, the husband just, wants her to take these tranquilizers. I'm not really sure why, because he only goes to sleep as well. I don't know why he wants her to be knocked out. But he puts her... Oh, she's up painting late one night, isn't she?
That's
and
right, yeah.
I think he's probably just like, go to bed.
For God's sake.
So he crushes up some tranquilizers in the milk. And he says something really weird to her when he gives it to her, doesn't he?
Yeah. He says, promise me. And you and I both thought he was going to say... Drink this
it all. Yeah. Drink all of it.
It's like,
why?
Promise me.
Just because it's nice. But he says, promise me you'll come to bed as soon as you feel sleepy or something like that, doesn't he?
And then he hands her the milk and then he's like, see you soon.
Yeah, it's really creepy. And then we just see a scene where she comes downstairs and the carpenter is stood there with like a white suit, but he's got a black waistcoat and black shoes on. It just looks bizarre.
Oh, very bizarre.
But the waistcoat is like a really low cut, like those waistcoats that it doesn't cover your chest, it just kind of covers your stomach, which completely confused us because we had a whole conversation about this waistcoat, didn't we?
Yeah, I said that's not a waistcoat, that's like a belly coat. And then we realised, no wait, it's not called a chest coat.
Yeah, it's a waist. Your waist
anyways,
is
it's fine. It's fine.
Anyway, but it looked weird because he had a whole white suit on and then just the black waistcoat and black shoes.
Yeah.
And then they just had this bizarre scene where, he was talking to her in this suit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's actually going on here? I can't even remember the conversation. What were they talking about?
I can't remember any of the crap they talked about.
But it was almost like it was trying to be romantic.
Yeah.
Because he had I suppose in the 80s that would have been a nice suit, I guess. I don't know. So he was all, he's all like suited up and it's all, I started to think, are they going to like fall in love? What's going to happen? And then she wakes up and it's just a dream.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Doesn't just wake up because like the weirdest thing happens because he's being all like nice and charming.
Oh, that's what happens. Yes.
Yeah. He's being all nice and charming.
Yes.
And then he just goes, but I can't remember exactly what he says, but ultimately it's like, but really you just want this. And then it cuts to him it just like literally cuts to his groin, him unzipping his fly, and then it cuts to her face and you just hear like the sound of a drill or a circular saw going off. And she starts screaming as if like His
What's he
penis
gonna do
is a
to
power tool.
And then she wakes up. How do I forget that bit?
If it was a hammer drill, she might be screamed at. Oh, stop it.
No.
But
Too far.
Honestly.
But it was just, again, another completely pointless scene.
Yep.
Because it didn't mean anything to the story.
Nothing at all.
And also, her husband had given her 2 tranquilizers. I'm pretty sure, I've never taken tranquilizers, but I'm pretty sure that would knock you out cold. You wouldn't be waking up whether you had a dream or not.
Yeah. I think you'd just be stuck in the dream that you were in, and that's it. You might come out of REM and dreaming. You might not. Who knows? You might just go to a different dream if you're shocked at that. But who knows? But that was funny.
Yeah.
It was like, now we're going to cut to his penis. Oh, thank God it's just a power tool and we don't see it. But it was just like, but you want this. Zip. Typical men. Typical bloody men.
I know.
Even your dream men.
Yep.
Even your dream men are only after one thing. Bastards. Alright, so shall we give this movie a score?
Oh, yeah, we should, but it's going to be tricky.
Be at 5.
You go first.
Okay, I am going to give it I think I have to give it a 1 out of 5. I was tempted to give it a 2 out of 5 because there are some, like, really laugh out loud moments that are just stupid. Like Morton, the paint shop owner, like the sheriff that's just stupid. The different murders that are just a bit daft and twee and whatever. But I can't do that because there's so many gaps between any of those interesting bits that it has to be a 1 for me. It's not a good bad movie. It's a bad movie.
It's not a good bad movie.
It's just boring. Yeah.
It is very boring.
Yeah.
I think I would give it a 1 for the deaths.
Oh, okay.
Because although it's boring, you do get a few interesting deaths. And I'm going to give it a 1/2 for the chopping the arms off and the fact that he's got his arms under the shirt. Because I think if there's any reason to watch this movie, it's for that scene. You could just watch up to that scene and then turn it off. Like, don't waste any more of your life.
That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Or just probably you can find that scene on YouTube, I'd probably say.
Yeah, probably.
Did we watch it on YouTube? We did, didn't we?
Yeah,
you can probably find just that scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 1.5. 1 for the deaths, 1/2 for the arms under the shirt.
Aye.
That's probably being generous, but because, the rest of it was dire.
So, are you saying 1.5 points? Or are
1.5
you saying
points out of 5?
On 2 different scales, 1 point for deaths?
1 point for deaths, and then an extra 1/2 for the arm death.
Yeah, it scores really low, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not one of our better ones. I was really hoping to go out on a high.
Yeah,
For
same.
this season, but
and I thought with it being like an older B movie, it's got Wings Hauser, who's a jobbing actor that's probably recognisable to some people. But yeah, it's just ultimately poor.
It was lacking storyline. It was lacking action.
Yeah, it does.
If you like nightgowns, there were a lot of nightgowns in it. If you like 80s hair. Great film for that.
This is the film for you.
And if you like 80s power suits, there was some shoulder pads going on.
There are some shoulder pads going on. Power suits, power tools.
And there was I noticed at one point the sister had like a red t-shirt and matching red earrings and then a grey suit, and I thought that is very 80s look.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you like the 80s, it's got some great 80s elements in it. If you like a film with a storyline though and something going on, probably avoid this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, in which case, everyone, you'll be able to join us on the flip side where we're going to talk about the good bits of the movie. Oh my God, Emma, I'm so sorry.
You just said my line.
I just said your line. Do I even need you here? Yeah, I do need you
here. Cut it,
here.
we'll cut that out.
Yeah. Probably won't. Because
when I say we'll cut that out, I don't do the editing, so I know it won't be cut out.
I know, and I could cut out any point where I look bad, and that makes me look bad. But I won't cut it out. So everyone, you can join us on the
flip side.
Ah, there it is. I'm being extra nice now because I stole your line.
Yeah.
That's the end of that. So yeah, join us on
the flip side.
Well, we're going to talk about the good stuff in the movie and of the characters we're going to cover over, Might be quite a short episode, but we'll find something to
no,
talk
but
about.
believe it or not, there's probably some good.
There are some good things.
Yeah.
I've got my notes on some of the good bits of it as well. Catch up with us on social media, everyone, as well. Please do. We're going to have our links as part of the info on the episode. But yeah, thanks for joining us once more. See you all soon.
Bye.